Hi guys. Let me just check my auto settings. Oh, it's on the right camera for a change. Excellent. Oh, hey Amber. Here's the puppies. Hi Miss Maddie. Hi Miss Maddie. Belly rubs for Maddie. Hi Becky. Oh, belly rubs for Maddie. Oh, there we go. Good girl. Hi guys. Finally, I think I finally figured out how this new Ustream YouTube live thing works. It's still a bit of a pain in the backside to set up, to be honest. But Hi Maru, Sandra, Sarah, Annette, Sheila, Laura. Hi guys. Today we're going to be talking about goals. Now, One Book July is over, but I'm still doing stuff for the bullet journal method. The best way for me to remain... No. Let me start at the beginning. I really like the bullet journal method. It is working for me in its current state. It's not fully developed for me. So what I want to do is spend the next few months to the end of the year really concentrating on trying the different techniques, really trying to integrate what I do into the bullet journal. And this is with the aim of hopefully staying in the bullet journal next year, but in a format that works for me. And yeah, so far so good. So far so good. Scoob, stop eating the plants, please. Scooby. He's deaf. Hey, stop eating the plants. Good boy. The best way for me to be accountable for what I do is for me to do it for you guys. Essentially. Left to my own devices, I won't put all my effort into it. I won't bother. If I set it up as part of what I want to do for YouTube, then I won't be so whatever about it. I've got a goal. And speaking of goals, that's what we're doing today. Nice segue, huh? Hi Deb, Steph, Brenda, Cody. It's thundering. Yeah, we've got weird weather as well. We keep getting one roll of thunder and then that's it. It's very strange. If you have the book, you are in page 150 to 165. It's a 15-page section on goal setting. If you have the audiobook, you want chapter 26, which presumably you'll want to listen to later. But I listen to the book and read this at the same time. Kind of do both at the same time. I find it more helpful for me. It's like being lectured to instead of just trying to follow it on my own. Hi, boo-boo. Boop schnoot. Boop schnoot. There we go. And sneeze. Good boy. He always sneezes when I boop his snoot. It's so funny. We're doing goals today because, and I'm going to try and tie in more of the astrology with this as I go on because people have really responded to that well. If you're not interested in the astrology, that's fine. You can find other things to fit in, like strengths and weaknesses, the weather, whatever it is you want to do. But today, and I mentioned this at length in last week's setup when I actually went through this page in detail. Today we have the Sun in Leo, which is a spotlight on creativity and self and putting yourself out there, doing stuff. For instance, doing a live YouTube show. Trine, which is a good thing. They work together. Jupiter retrograde in Sag. Jupiter retrograde is like... Jupiter normal is like any other planet on speed. Jupiter retrograde is like any other planet normally. It's like a more sedate version. And Jupiter rules Sag, so it's actually station at the moment. It's stopped because it's going direct next week, the 11th. Oh, Sunday. It's going direct. Big weekend. We got Jupiter going direct, Venus moving into Leo, and then Uranus retrograde in Taurus all at the same time. So that's going to be an interesting weekend. Jupiter retrograde in Sag, or Jupiter in Sag, is goal setting, expansion, growth. But Jupiter retrograde stationed in Sag means that you get the benefit of being able to set goals, specifically midterm goals, without overextending yourself. Because Jupiter, everything Jupiter is over. Overworked, overwhelmed, overstressed, overextended, over budget. All of it. All the things. It's also good. You know, it's lucky and it's fortunate and it's optimistic. But, you know, you can get too optimistic and become a gambler. Jupiter knows no risk, which is not always a good thing. But Jupiter's stationed. Maddie, stop eating the plants. Hey! Stop! Maddie! Yeah, so today is a good day for doing a live YouTube thing on setting goals that are not too overwhelming, being able to break them down into steps, which is what Ryder talks about, and actually understanding what you're trying to do without getting overwhelmed. There you go. My project for this month. Now he talks about, obviously, if you've got the book and you've read it or whatever, he talks about goals as being your curiosity put to good use, which is something I really like. I've never really understood goals. I've never been a goal setter. Not in the way that people think of goals, you know, this is my goal, I'm going to do this by such and such a date. You've got the book and started reading it. Awesome. I think you'll find it beneficial. I really do. Goals for me have always been an issue because the words that struck the most fear into me when I was a kid was, write an essay about what you want to be in 5 years' time. I'm like, dude, I don't know what I want to be tomorrow. I do not do well with long-term goals. Long-term goals, I can't tell you what I will want in 5 years' time because I'm not going to be that person in 5 years' time. Now, he talks about that and acknowledges it, but he talks about it in a different way. Because most people, when you say, what do you want to be in 5 years' time? What do you want to have achieved? Most people will have at least one thing that they think, well, in 5 years' time, I want to own a house, have moved out of home, have started a family, you know, something that they've got this vague idea that in 5 years they want to do that. And I'm kind of one step ahead of that, where he actually talks about constantly revising your long-term goals to make sure that they're still goals that you actually want, because there's nothing more disappointing than reaching a goal or attaining a goal that you've been working on for years and years and years and realising that it doesn't make you any happier because you don't actually want it anymore. You don't care. You're interested in something else anyway. So I'm kind of one step ahead of that. I already know that, which severely limits what I can say to myself, well, I'd like to do this in 5 years. Yeah, making goals gives you anxiety. I'm kind of there with you. The other issue I have is my instant gratification monkey. If you've watched the TED talk about procrastination by, no, I can't remember his name. I'll have to link it down below afterwards. It's on my site though. I've linked it on my site. He talks about the responsible adult. Everybody has two parts of their brain: the responsible adult and the instant gratification monkey. And the instant gratification monkey is what causes us to procrastinate, because the instant gratification, the responsible adult wants to sit down, read this book, make notes on this book, digest the contents, put it into practice, and so on, and break it down into goals. The instant gratification monkey says, yeah, but there's a really interesting thing on like Nature Channel about how giraffes reach the top of trees. So let's watch that instead. That'll be far more educational. And then the panic monster is the only thing that the instant gratification monkey is afraid of. And the panic monster only appears 24 hours ahead of a deadline. And I have that problem. That is me to a T. I could have 5 years. I could say, okay, my goal for my 5-year milestone is that I want to write a book. Okay? And I could say that. And I could say, okay, so you, according to this method, you break it down and you say, okay, where do I start? What can I do in the next hour? What can I do in the next 2 days, in the next 3 weeks, in the next 4 months to bring this to fruition? That's how you break up your goals. And on the surface, it sounds sensible. You know, within the next hour, what could I do? I could come up with some ideas. I could brainstorm up with some ideas. Within the next 2 days, I could create some kind of a basic outline. Within the next 3 weeks, I could look at other books that have got a similar structure, maybe scout out some publishers or whatever. Within the next 4 months, I could have a couple of chapters written, get some examples going and send them out to potential publishers, and so on. And then you break down your goals again. And they keep rolling until you reach that 5-year deadline. The trouble is, if you are governed by the panic monster, you could give me 5 years to write a book and I'll still write it in 2 days before it's due to be handed in. Okay. I had 18 months to write a deadline for my law dissertation, to write a dissertation for my law final year. 6 months of research, a full year of actually writing it and handing it in and getting it revised and da-da-da-da-da. And I started it 3 days before it was due. Literally. So it doesn't help me to have long-term goals. It helps me to have short-term goals. So if the 5-4-3-2-1 method works for you, use it, because it is a good method. If you prefer shorter, more realistic, something that I've worked before is the rule of 3. Not the witchy one, the goal planning one, where it's similar to this, but instead you break it down into 3 hours, 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years. 3 years is a lot less scary than 5 years. 5 years is half a decade, okay? 5 years is, whoa. 5 years is a complete life phase. You know, a lot can happen in 5 years. You can attend and graduate high school in 5 years. So asking somebody who's just about to go into high school what they want to do in 5 years' time, how the hell do they know? They might know around, you know, their 15th, 16th birthday if you're lucky. If not, then they'll be about 25 before they work out what they want to do when they're 16. You know? But 3 years is more attainable. And I can't remember where I got this idea from. I don't know if it's something that I did. No, I have no idea where it came from. I think it was something I did based on something else that was very similar to this. Yeah, 5 years is way too long. 6 months to a year is more realistic. And 6 months to a year broken down is, you know, 3 weeks. What can I get done in 3 weeks of this month? That gives you a break week or a revision week or a prep and plan week, depending on what you need. 3 months is a quarter, isn't it? It's the quarter of the year. So it's a 6-month goal broken into 2, or a full year goal broken into 4. It's much easier to attain. And the hour goal, I mean, what is the point of a goal you can do in an hour? I don't, that's not a goal. That's a to-do. But once you have a goal that is broken into 3 hours, that becomes, I'm going to spend this morning working on. I'm going to spend this afternoon working on. I'm going to dedicate Thursday evenings to working on. Okay, that's a 3-hour slot. It's not 3 hours. It works out a little bit more depending. But, you know, even if you're doing one of these crazy people that gets up at 5 a.m., you have to leave for work by 8. So between 5 a.m. and 8, that's a 3-hour slot, isn't it? So while I'm getting ready for work and doing stuff, I'm going to start writing down stuff during these 3 hours. That is, you know, for somebody like Steph, for instance, who's a writer, maybe that 3-hour slot between 5 and 8 would be her morning pages slot. And if it takes her half an hour, it takes her half an hour. If it takes her 3 hours, it takes her 3 hours. You can't say how long 3 pages is going to take to write. But by breaking it down into 3s, it seems to be easier to manage. For me. So if 5 years is too big a step and 1 hour is too short a step, try the 3s instead of the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. What I prefer to do is to have goals that are monthly goals or passion projects. And he talks about passion projects and sprints in here. Sprints, he says, are short-term goals that will give you something to say you've achieved something. So breaking your goals down into sprints is on 157. So if you really want to do something but you're not entirely sure, then breaking it down into a sprint and trying it for 2 weeks, for instance. When he wrote the bullet journal, he didn't go straight in and write the bullet journal method. He set himself a goal for, I think, 2 weeks to get a basic website set up, the basic premise out there, set it up, get it going, job done. And that was all he intended to do with it. Of course, then it took off. But that was the basic thing. He just wanted to create a website where it was all on there and send it out to a few places to share it with, you know, like other people have shared stuff before. He talks about it in interviews quite a lot. So a 2-week sprint is a really good way of trying something out. Let's say you desperately want to try oil painting, okay? If you don't have oil paints, the chances are you can find somewhere that you could borrow. Whether it's a local college or a friend or whatever, you know, just borrow a couple of colours. Or even purchase just 1 or 2 colours. Just the basic 3 plus black and white will do. The basic 5 set. Use the bare minimum. Have a go at it. But only for 2 weeks. So set yourself a goal of, I'm going to play around with oils and I'm going to make a painting in oils and that's it. I have no other goal beyond that. I'm just going to paint an oil painting in 2 weeks. So as part of that 2 weeks, you break your 2 weeks down into goals. Into sprints. So what you're going to have to learn first? Well, first you're going to have to learn how oil paints work. You've got to learn about basic techniques, basic mixing, basic composition. Assuming you already know about the art side of it, you know. You need to know how oil paints work. You need to know how you mix them up. You need to know the fat over lean rule and things like that. So basic oil techniques, that's going to be your first thing to do. So maybe you want to go to the library and get a book on how to use oil paints, okay? So then you can break it down into sensible things and do this little practice study. Or maybe you could sign up for a class that would walk you through it instead. 2 weeks is a reasonable amount of time. But for me, with my schedule, 2 weeks is too short. 2 weeks is a good amount of time, but how can I put it? Like 2 weeks worth of work, let's put it that way. 2 weeks worth of working on something is a good amount of time for me. But I need those 2 weeks spread out over a month because I've got too much else going on. Does that make sense? So when I set a 2 or 3 week goal, usually 3, because I work better in 3s. One for me, one for you, one for spare. That's just how my brain works. I set a goal that's going to take 3 weeks. That gives me 1 spare week to rest, relax, plan, revise, edit, take a week off, whatever. Do something else for a week. That's how my brain prefers to work. So when I talk about passion projects, I talk about my monthly projects. So my monthly project last month was the bullet journal method. I'm not finished it yet. I'm still working on it. It's become a 4 month, probably 3 months, August, September, October project. Because there's other stuff I want to do. But in doing it, although I'm going to be doing the work over 3 months, I'm spreading the videos over 6 to Christmas because that gives me more time. See? I hope that makes sense. Anyway, what I wanted to do is show you how I'm breaking down my studio thing that I'm doing this month. I have constantly had issues with my studio cleaning, getting my studio set up the way I want it, because I've never had the opportunity to just start from scratch and get it all sorted the way I wanted it. I've never had a full month to be able to do it. And when I have had a full month to be able to do it, I haven't been able to organise it because me and goal setting is like, 31st of August. Oh, is that the deadline? Okay, then I'll start on the 29th. You do treatment plans for clients every 3 months. Yeah, that's a common thing. A common thing in repeated stuff that you do is to do it every 3 weeks. I think that's why I picked 3 in the first place. So I looked at the astrology first, because that's how I work. That's how I plan. The first 2 weeks, all of this is to do with goal setting, starting a new project, taking out the trash, doing things that you love, that are earth-based, all that kind of stuff. So I set these 2 weeks up until the Aquarius new moon as the cleansing part. So that's my 2 weeks. Then the next week to 10 days is the toning section, where it's all about making things work for you, getting things. It's after the Aquarius full moon, and it's when everything moves into Virgo. So everything is about detail and testing things out and trying things out and seeing what works and revising and, making sure that stuff is the way you like it, because nobody does keeping stuff the way they like it like a Virgo. So Virgo time is a good time to do that. Whereas the cleansing and creative stuff and the, looking at things and going, do I really need this, is more of a Leo activity, because Leo is the one that has all the creative ideas, but can also problem solve. So yes, I love the idea of having a jelly plate and using it and blah, blah, blah. But do I need to keep my jelly plate on my shelf? Probably not, because I've owned it for 4 years. I've only taken it out of the package once. I haven't used it at all, and I don't like mucky painting. So the chances of me ever using it are somewhere between Bob hope and no hope. So That's the kind of thing that Leo can do and go, yeah, well, I've got lots of ideas for this, but in reality, am I ever going to do it? Nah, my cat's too lazy for that. The toning section is the tweaking, you know? Does it actually work? You know, how do I imagine if I was going to do this project? How do I imagine I would use my space? That kind of thing. That's very Virgo based. And then towards the end of the month, we've got a lot of Venus activity, which is self-love, self-care, relaxation, looking after yourself. And then also this Uranus-Taurus, we've got a lot of Uranus-Taurus aspects, which is, you know, looking at the practical side of stuff and the comfort side of stuff. Because little things are very important to the way I work. So, for instance, it drives me insane at the moment that I have a lovely long desk with lots of space, but two things bug me. One, I don't have anything here. I don't have a table here, and I need one because I'm a lefty. I need to be able to put stuff there. The other thing that annoys me is that I'm sat like this and you're over there. So my neck is constantly turned at this angle. And it hurts. After a couple of hours of sitting like this, even if I turn my body, then I'm messing with my bad shoulder because I'm trying to work at an angle. So like, if I put my arm like that, okay, and then put it down on the desk, that's how much of an angle I'm sitting at to be able to look straight at the screen and read properly. And I can't read out the corner of my eye. So this doesn't work. No matter how much I love this configuration, and I love having the daylight, and I love having my cameras stable because they're clipped to the windowsill and blah, 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 it doesn't work for me. And it frustrates me, so it's got to change. So Leo in the cleansing bit is going to be getting rid of stuff I don't need, fixing stuff that doesn't work, and then moving things in a creative way to kind of, you know, is it aesthetically pleasing and does it feel okay to sit here? And then during the toning week, I'm going to be actually trying it out, actually do some work at a desk and see, you know, when I reach out, does it drive me crazy that the end of my desk is right here? You know, because at the moment, my desk goes on past me. Having a desk that stops here usually drives me crazy because things fall off the edge of the desk onto the floor. And I can't easily lean down and pick them up because if I do, my chair tips over because it's too high because I've got short legs. So, you know, things like that you need to actually do stuff with in order to figure out if it works. And then on the 25th, I'm actually taking a week off. I know. And I mean a week off. I'm not saying I'm taking a week off, but actually I'm going to be doing stuff behind the scenes and doing my accounts and doing this and that. No, I am taking a week off. I'm having a staycation. Zip is happening, except what I want to do. So that is my relaxation week. So that last 7 to 10 days is my moisturize week. And the moisturize week, those of you who did my whimsical workspaces thing back in the day will recognise this format: cleanse, tone, moisturise and relax. Well, I've put moisturise and relax together because the toning week I can spend 7 to 10 days, and then the moisturising week, I don't mind if I'm moisturising my space during my holiday. That's quite a nice thing to do. Spruce it up, put out your pretties, you know, make it look nice. That's quite a nice relaxing thing to do on a holiday. That doesn't involve any hard work. So I can move that into this week if I need to. My aim is to have it all finished by the 25th so I can just relax and say, right, that's it, I'm done. Put my feet up, Netflix on, see you in a week. That's the plan. Whether that'll actually happen or not is anyone's guess. So that's the thing for now. So rather than trying to plan all of these weeks, I'm working a step at a time. So the first thing I'm working on is the cleanse. And the cleanse I broke down into goals here. Now this is my August tasks page. I split it onto 2 pages this month because having it like this with 1 page didn't work. But this fits nicely here and works with that, so I like that. And then this I just split it into 3. So this is my August goals, August tasks, what I have to do. This is specifically my passion project. I have split it up into first tasks that fit the cleanse, that are quick, week tasks that will give me basic accomplishments. So, and I haven't marked any of these off yet because I wanted you to see how it was working. I'm kind of doing a little bit of all of them every day without really doing any one thing because it's not really possible, but this is the basis for what I'm doing this week. So first, step 1, rubbish and bins. Hi Evelyn. I'm an influencer, except you didn't buy the moleskin, so you know, until you're on the expanded moleskin, I'm not really an influencer. Rubbish and bins. So the idea was, before I do anything else, empty all the bins, get rid of anything that is obviously rubbish. Because I'm not a clean up as you go kind of girl. I trimmed my hair the other day and I put it in the bottom of this. And then I went and sharpened my pencils and I needed somewhere to put it all. So I put it all in here. And then I thought, well, hang on a minute. I'm doing some collage, so I may as well chuck that in here as well. And now I'm at the point where I'll just leave this on the desk and keep throwing bits into it that I no longer need, you know, like this is rubbish, that can go in there. And then when it's full, I'll just chuck a whole thing in the bin. It seems to be working, except that I keep putting it in the window and it keeps rolling off the window into the desk. So I need to find a better place for it. But having a small container on my desk that I can just pick up the whole thing and put it in the bin when it's full seems to be working quite well. But I have things like that are, you know, there's obvious rubbish, packing materials and things like that. Then there's stuff that is obviously recycling. I have a terrible, terrible habit with my Amazon deliveries of unboxing things, going, oh, this is really exciting. Throw the box in the recycling corner, and then I end up with a big mound of boxes over there. Very bad habit. You did buy the moleskin expanded because of me. Yes. Don't forget to use my Amazon shop link because I'm an Amazon affiliate. Yay. Yeah, boxes and recycling. So anything that was obviously rubbish, but anything that was obviously recycling. And as part of that, I wanted to keep larger boxes because I want to have stuff set aside for stuff that I'm putting in donations, stuff I want to sell, stuff I'm keeping for giveaways, stuff I'm handing off to somebody else, all that kind of stuff. So I need at least 4 boxes set up. And I was going to set the 4 boxes up in the kitchen so they're out of the way and I can just put things in bags while I'm in here and then put them in the kitchen in the appropriate box when I'm done. That was the idea. So going through then all the donations or giveaways or whatever, and I've also got to do my postage thing because I've got a whole load of giveaway stuff that I need to go through and get postage information for, but I can give that to KK once I know what I need. So I need to put a list together of what I need and give it to KK so she can get people's addresses and stuff. That is only 5 items for the first week, but those 5 items, especially these 3, might take longer than a day. So rather than trying to get too much done in a week, I set it only 5 because this is what's been stalling me from getting started in the first place. So that's week 1. That's what I've been doing this week. Week 2, what I've done is I've broken my room up into 7 sections. So I've got, my room is a weird shape. I could actually draw it on here, actually. Let me draw it on here. So let me draw it on here so you can see. in essence, it's a square room, but it's really not. But there's a door here and a door here. And then this is my art desk area. This is my writing desk area. This is my witchy books section. This is my arty books section. And these two spots are dumping grounds, which I need to reorder. But they have got stuff in them at the moment. So what I did was say, okay, let's break, because this has a whole cupboard full of stuff here and a bookcase. So let's break this into two. So this becomes one. Let's do it this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is everything else. The idea is to then go through each section in a day, pull everything out. So like my art books corner. First, get rid of all the stuff that's on the floor in front of my bookcase. It's not a huge amount, but it's stuff that shouldn't be there. 2, pull all the books off the bookcase. 3, clean the bookcase. 4, go through all the books. 5, put back the ones I'm keeping. 6, sort through the ones I'm getting rid of to donate, sell, give away, whatever. Okay? That is my daily breakdown. So, here we go. This is tomorrow, week 2, day 8, art books. I've just planned what I need to do tomorrow. So, we're on Wednesday. I haven't done today's yet. I was writing in the dark last night, so I ended up using a blue pen, which surprisingly I don't hate. I like my black pens. I prefer all black, but I don't hate the blue. I used to really hate blue because I was forced to write in blue. Maybe 20 years of not having to write in blue has calmed me down somewhat on that. Okay, so I've got stuff I'm going to want to do tomorrow, but let's come down to somewhere round about the middle is usually where it ends up. Yeah, around about there. So, totally by accident, my days have started taking on a particular structure. I do my morning stuff, so I set out what I want to do, important stuff, things that are brought forward from the calendar, August tasks, stuff I need to do today. Then I do a little bit of journaling and reflection, and usually that gets me to about halfway down the page where I start planning exactly what I'm going to do to achieve this. Okay? So, the studio. Thursday will be art books corner. And if it doesn't take me, now this will be a 3-hour project. When I say all day, I'm trying to get it done in 3 to 4 hours. So I've broken that big goal of I'm going to clean my studio in a month, right the way down to on Thursday, I'm going to do this corner and this is how I'm going to do it. So, step 1. Remove the floor stuff. So there's stuff on the floor in front of my bookcase that shouldn't be there. It needs sorting out, thrown in the corner where it needs to go, or getting rid of. Step 2. Take books down. Step 3. Clean shelves. I'm going to put plus DIY because I know there's at least one screw on those shelves that needs retightening. So while I've got all the books off the shelf, I might as well check the bookcase for sturdiness and tighten it up as I need to do. Clean shelves and DIY. Go through books. Put back keeps. sort leftovers. Now, of course, there is stuff on that bookcase that is not books, but I will just put that into the leftovers section. Because, for instance, I know I've got a whole shelf over there of all my bottles of ink, because putting them over there behind the door means they're safe. They're not going to get knocked over, end up on the floor, spilling all over the floor, getting broken, whatever. And it's very dark in that corner because it's behind a door, so they're protected from the light and everything. So all my inks are over there. But that's okay, because they're probably going to stay there. They're there for a purpose. So that gives me 2, 4, 6 tasks to do in the morning, afternoon or evening on Thursday. Well, Thursday I'm teaching. So I've got a Patreon video, Patreon live, from 4 till 6. And what are we doing? We're doing art. We're doing mythological art. So that's okay. That means that nothing I do over there is going to affect what I do over here. I'm not going to need any of my books from over there, I don't think. I'm not going to need to put any of my materials out of the way. You know, everything for this is going to happen over here, and everything for this is going to happen over there. Whereas if I decided tomorrow that actually I was going to do my work desk, I would be limited to saying, well, I have to do it in the morning, because in the afternoon I have to set up for my Patreon live and prep for my class, and then at 4 till 6 I'm teaching. Or I could do all that and then say, well, then I'm going to have to fit all this into the evening after the class. So how am I going to do that? You know, I'm going to finish class at 6, have some tea. It's going to be 8 o'clock before I even start doing anything. Which for me actually isn't bad, but because I'm an evening person is the rest of that sentence. I'm not a morning person. I get up at the crack of 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, and I often, last night I didn't go to bed till 4. I go to bed when I'm tired, and I wake up when I'm not tired. And usually that's around 2 to 4 in the morning, and I wake up somewhere between 9 and 11 in the morning. And it works for me. I don't have to set an alarm clock unless I'm going somewhere. So this is now a goal for the day, which is going to take 3 to 4 hours. If you're the kind of person who is like, right, earthy people, fiery people, right, okay, here's our job, let's get cracking. Soon as the kids are out of the way, send them off packing to wherever they're going for the day. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to get this done. I'm going to have it done by lunchtime. The rest of us, not so much. You know, the water people are going to have to get used to the idea of actually having to part ways with books that they love but don't need anymore. They're going to have to actually, move things around. They've got to get used to the idea of where they're going to move them to and think about it in advance. And air people need to control their ability to go, it's fine the way it is, I'll leave it. Never mind, let's go and do something else. It's more fun. So I have to set myself tasks that I need to do. Is there a study guide for this week? Yeah, there should be. Is it? Yeah? Study guides go up either on Tuesday or Wednesday. But this week's study guide is just a mythological one, prep for the art thing. I thought it went up last night. I will double check. Let me put it on the list. Check. Study guide. Myths. Huh. I will check. Yeah, your books, Steph, let's face it. Your books probably don't need anything more than a quick dusting, because they're probably colour-coded in alphabetical order by date. Perfectly arranged. You're just a naturally neat kind of person. You like your order. My books, on the other hand, half of my art books are not even in my art bookshelf. They're sat on the floor here next to my desk because I've pulled them out and not put them back. So what can I do that's going to be an easy way? Okay, first thing, if I immediately, first thing in the morning, start with, move the stuff on the floor and take all my books down, and I aim to do that in 1 hour. And this is how I trick my brain into doing things. I am going to have no choice but to sort it out. Why am I going to have no choice but to sort it out? Because it's all on the floor and I will keep tripping over it. And nothing annoys me more. You didn't see it today on Patreon awning. It must not have gone up. I set it up for a time pre-scheduled, and I'm not very good with times and dates, so sometimes I get the date wrong. I'll check it after this. Hey, Rach. Yeah, if I remove stuff off the floor, I can get to the bookcase. And then I can take my books down and put them in piles on the floor. Okay? I've got nowhere else to put them. They're going to have to go on the floor. But because that bookcase is behind the door, I'm then going to have to sort it out, because otherwise I can't get through the door. I can't get in and out easily. I'm going to be climbing over books if I don't sort it. So, trick 1, do things in such a way that you have to finish. I'm terrible for starting projects and then getting distracted, squirrel brain. So, the first hour, if I do this before BuJo. Now, I normally do my bullet journal stuff. I have a cup of coffee. I kind of write out my bullet journal stuff. Then I go and do stuff. And then when I come back, I do a little bit of journaling. I do my 11 a.m. reflection. I'm fine. Hi, Dor. So if I do that first, so literally go out to the kitchen, make a cup of coffee, and while I'm waiting for my coffee, do this, I can then sit down with my coffee, do my bullet journal stuff. But I will have to finish this at some point in the day, because otherwise I won't be able to get in and out the door. Make sense? So, cleaning, going through books and putting them back, I can do that all as part of the one thing. So I could do that as my after lunch, between lunch and Patreon. So before BuJo, do this, then do my bullet journal, my 11 a.m. stuff, and then prep for class, which is what I normally would do. Sorry, I'm trying to stay on camera and still be able to write. Once I've done that, I have lunch. So this is then going to be afternoon, maybe. This is going to be about 2 hours, let's say 1 till 3. That gives me an hour before I start teaching, so I can stop, have a break, take the dogs out, whatever. Excuse me. And then anything that's left, I can chuck it in a box and go through it in the evening, after class, after dinner, when I'm just, sat watching YouTube videos or listening to an audiobook or a podcast or whatever. I can go through this stuff in the evening. Or I can just put it all in one box and sort it out later. Ideally, do it in the evening. And in theory, it should take maybe half an hour. 30 minutes to an hour. But it might take 5 episodes of whatever TV show I'm watching, because I'm not really paying attention to it. I'm doing 2 things at once. So that's how I'm breaking down my goals of what I need to do and how. Does that make sense? Once I've done that, I can go back on Friday and say, okay, what am I going to do on Friday? I'm doing the cubby hole. Well, most of what's in the cubby hole is actually recycling boxes that I've been throwing over there. So what I'm going to do with the cubby hole is set it up for putting all my stuff that doesn't have a home anywhere else in. So clear out the cubby hole, which at the moment only has 2 chairs and some boxes, and put stuff in there set up so that I have somewhere to put things I don't know what to do with. I've tried having my comfy chair out in the middle of the room. I don't like it. My knees are killing me. So my comfy chair is going back over in my reading corner. I can't sit in that chair for long periods of time. I can only do it when I'm relaxing and chilling and snuggling with Maddie. So I'm going to put it back over there, which means I can put a box on top of the chair and just put stuff in the box that needs a home. So that's going to be my week, doing the same thing. The Witchy books is exactly the same bookcase, actually, as my art books, and it's got exactly the same problem. There's stuff on the floor in front of it, and then I need to take my books off. Actually, those books I don't really need to go through because there aren't any that I want to get rid of. There might be 1 or 2 that might not make it back, but it's not a big sort through kind of thing like the art books is. Put all that back, and then I might be able to, with the Witchy books, take some of the stuff from the cubby that could go in my Witchy books corner and start putting some stuff up there out of the way. So as I'm putting stuff in the cubby and doing each section, I can find stuff from that cubby hole that should be in other areas and put them away as I'm doing the put back stuff. So in theory, each area should get cleaned, sorted and put back. That doesn't mean it's going to look nice, it's going to be organised, it's going to be this, that and the other. It just means it's going to be put back, okay? If I, at some point, suddenly decide that it would be useful to have all of my watercolour art books on one thing and all of my journaling books on another and all of my painting books on another, that's a project for another day, all right? I'm not worried about what it looks like or how it's organised or anything at the moment. I'm simply sorting out my studio, and as a big version of my studio, I just want all my art books over there on that bookcase. Instead of some are on this bookcase and some are over here and a couple are on the windowsill here and some of them are on the floor here and a couple are in my bedroom. That needs to be corralled and put together in one place. But what they look like when they're there, I don't care, as long as it's clean and it's put back. I can do one shelf at a time when I feel like it and go, oh, you know, I'll put all my watercolour books on this shelf, you know. Week 3 is going to be toning. I can't work out what I'm going to do for week 3 until I finish this because I need to know what I've got. The toning is the organising and the, you know, where am I going to put my paints? What am I going to put on my trolley? That kind of thing. Because I've got a rolling trolley here that I move around between my desks. Where am I going to put my chairs so that I can best utilise them? Where am I going to put my scanner so it's easiest to get to? That kind of stuff. That's toning. I know I want my scanner over here, but where do I want it? Do I want to put it away and pull it out when I need it? Do I want to use my small scanner and pull my big scanner out when I need it? That's stuff I have to think about. And I don't want to be doing that while I'm organising, while I'm cleaning and clearing. I can't think that far ahead. Some people can do it all in one go. To some people, I'm sure there are some people looking at this and going, I could get that done in a day. Please come and do it. Please. I would love to get this all done in a day, but it ain't going to happen. It just isn't going to happen. So by breaking your goals down into realistic sections is what he's talking about. And for me, this is realistic. Just say, okay, get everything out, clean it and put it back, go through it, and then sort what's left. Including the fact that I have a class and I need to prep for class. So that'll go on my bullet journal list as something to do, class prep. Because I like to get my stuff set up in advance for what I'm going to need. That doesn't leave me much time to do anything else tomorrow. So if I want to get this done, I can't suddenly be going, oh, and I want to clean the kitchen, or oh, and I should do the bathroom floor while I'm at it. You know, I can't be doing that. The bathroom floor is going to have to wait. If the bathroom floor needs anything more than a quick sweep that's going to take 2 minutes, it's not getting done tomorrow, because I've got to do this. I've got to be disciplined with myself. This is my priority. Does that help with the whole goal setting thing? Any questions? Those people who can do it in a day need to visit all of us who can't. Yeah, those people who are capable of doing it in a day need to set up a business and claim travel expenses to come and do it for the rest of us. Because, you know... I would much rather hire somebody to come and do this in 3 days and get it done and finished than the amount of time it's going to take me to do it. Because I am resistant to this stuff. I don't want to do it. I want to be painting. I don't care about the mess around me. But at the end of the day, I need to be organised to be able to work efficiently. And I can't work efficiently at the moment. So... something's got to give. So I'm resigned to the fact that every year, round about July and August, I need to do a full clear out of my studio. And it's a good time to do it because I can open all the doors and windows, I can clean, I can get rid of the dust, get rid of the cobwebs, all that, you know, make it feel good, ready for bedding down for the winter when I'm going to have everything shut up and closed off and want to be comfy and cosy in my little room. Fly me from the US and I'll do it. Yeah, I can't afford that. Now, I am setting up a group. This week has got away from me quite a bit. I don't know how, but I've had so much to do that this week has got away from me. So I haven't actually set up the group yet, but I'm going to do it as soon as I finish this video. The first thing I'm going to do is go and check on that study guide and find out why it's not there. And the second thing I'm going to do is set up the Studio Cleanse group. Not, you know, for those of you who are doing it as well, it's not a taught group. It's a free group if you want to come and get some, like, yeah, Tabitha's doing her study. There you go. So if you want to get some moral support, you know, sit and moan about how long it's taking you to move furniture and stuff like that, that's what it's for. It's so we can all get together, you know, and share photos or whatever we want to do. I've got a problem with organising magazines. Anybody got any ideas? That kind of stuff. I'm in the same unorganised situation, but summer means that I'm busy in the garden, so I can't set aside time. Right, yeah. So that's, you know, that's fair enough. But your garden, if you treat your garden as a room, all you're doing is sorting out your garden instead of in the house, right? So if you think of your garden as being an extension of your house, it's another room. You're doing the same thing, you're just doing it outdoors. So there's no reason why you can't do this kind of stuff. Maybe your studio organisation needs to happen in sort of late September, early October, after you've finished bedding down your garden for winter. You know, there's stuff that you have to do. But you see, the group can be an ongoing thing. Because at some point, everybody's going to be cleaning something. Somebody somewhere is going to go, I can't handle this mess anymore. I've got to do something with it. So it will be over on my website, RhomanysRealm.org.uk. You do have to sign up to become a member. It's free to be a free member. You can sign up. It's just to stop spammers. You have to sign up. But you have access to the community library and everything and all the free groups. It's the same place I do my classes, but you've got free access to stuff. The free stuff is not the same as my Patreon stuff, by the way. So if you're $1 patron and you're not set up on the Ning site, you need to come over and join the Ning site as well, because there's loads of stuff on there that's free that you can make use of. I will make sure I link to it on the front page as soon as it's set up. It won't take me long to set it up. It's only like a forum and photo gallery, but yeah, even if you just want to come along and cheerlead because you're one of those people who could get it done in an hour, you know, or your studio is already perfectly appointed and you're perfectly happy with it, share some ideas with the rest of us for how you get it sorted out, okay? Like, was it Steph or Sue was showing us the other day, we were talking about altars, or, you know, not necessarily just a Wiccan altar or something, but like a special place in your home that you have for precious stuff. And somebody was talking about how they had this particular statue that really meant something to them. So they'd used that as a focal point in a particular area, and then they decorated around it with other things. You know, you could share those kind of ideas with how you've set things up. How do you deal with things like bottles of paint that fall over? I've got hundreds of them. Look, they're this shape. So they've got hangers. The thing is, they're supposed to stand up like that. But look how wobbly that is. You can imagine every time you put your hand in, even if they're in a box, you put your hand in, they all fall over, right? So I wanted to make use of the hangers. So I had to come up with an idea for the hangers. So I made my famous wheelie bin, which is literally a basket. It's a bin, like a waste paper bin. Okay, it's plastic and it's got holes in the side. So I turned it upside down. I stuck it on a Lazy Susan and I used S hooks, like tiny little things. Too tiny. These are too tiny. These are the small versions that didn't work, but little S hooks like this. And I hooked them onto the basket like that, and then like that, and then I hooked my paints onto there. And because the basket is that shape, they all sit nicely and I can pull them off one at a time. That's the kind of really simple solution. It cost me a whopping £5 to make it. The bin was 50p and the hooks were more expensive because I had to buy 2 lots because I bought ones that were too small originally. And then I put it all together and now I've got a little spinny thing where I can pull my paints off. Can someone do a video on how to use your website? There's one already there. Well, it's not a video. It's Ashley, who was here earlier, I don't know if she still is, did a walkthrough of how to use the website. So sign up and then go to, in the main menu at the top, once you're signed in, go to Community Library. And right at the top of the Community Library, there's some featured posts. And one of them is, I'm stuck on how to use the website. What do I do? And it talks you through how to find classes, how to post, how to put up a picture, all sorts. I do have mods. So Ashley, Cody, Ina, a couple of other people. Oh, Ashley's here. There you go. Talk to Ashley. She'll help you, Laura. I have mods and I also have KK. So if all else fails, go to the top of the page. You'll see a little envelope sign. That's your messages. And you can start typing in somebody's name there, like Ashley. She's the only Ashley there. And you can send her a message and say, help me, I'm stuck, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm looking for, or whatever. But it's a Ning site, so it's not a complicated website. You basically just follow either the links from the front page for the current stuff or the stuff in the menu. And like I say, if all else fails, just ask one of the mods. I will put I'll do that because I've got to update the front page today anyway. So I'm going to put that on there. Update. Front page. Add link to help post. What do you do when you realise your project requires many more steps than you originally thought? You extend the time. So I took it from like Ryder talked about his bullet journal website. He did it as a 2-week sprint, set up the website. His only goal was to set up the website so that everybody had somewhere they could go to get the information, and he had somewhere to post his videos. He set up a YouTube thing, and he sent the link out to a few places like BuzzFeed and that he'd learned stuff from, and he said, well, you know, this is the method that I've come up with, here you are. Then it went viral, which he wasn't expecting. Boom happened. So he ended up going, oh, this is going to be a bigger project than I thought. And from there, he set his new goals, became his 5-year goal was to get the book published. And his shorter term goals were to create a community, have a blog, have contributors, all that kind of stuff. Cody can link. Hang on. I need to set up my mods as hang on, can I do it from here? Pop out chat, participants, no. Hang on, 1 second. YouTube, they've moved everything around again. Stop moving stuff. My channel. Your channel. Your channel. Studio. Features and settings, I think. I don't know where they've moved everything to these days. Features and settings, no. Settings, maybe it's in there. General, channel, defaults, community, there we go. Community, moderators. Ashley. Oh, you don't come up, that's why you're not on there. You don't come up as a matching user. Copy and paste the channel URL. The channel URL. So if I copy your name, right click, no, copy, no, that just says Ashley, okay. Right click, open, no, that's image. Triple dots. Oh, add moderator, there we go. You should be able to do it now, Ash. You might have to refresh. Hey, Jane. Right, sorry, Julia. Yeah, once you decide that your project's more than you thought it was, you need to start it again in a new format. So, for instance, my passion project for... Hang on, I can't see what I'm doing. I need to... There we go. My passion project for this, for July, was One Book July. As part of that was the bullet journal method. Now, the bullet journal method... Halfway through it, I realised that the third section of the bullet journal method was going to be a much longer term thing than I originally thought. So that is the part that I'm doing over the next couple of months up to December. Now, I haven't actually written it all down in here yet, but I will do. So what I plan to do is to re-look at this calendar, because I've already read through it initially. Okay, so I've got this calendar. So the beginning and getting started. Let's look at that. What do I think of that? That's page 127. That's up here. Okay. So the beginning of getting started is only a few pages, but it puts things in context. So there is an in practice section. So this section could be one video all on its own. What do I need to accomplish that? I need to read it, make notes on it, reflect on it later to come up with my own ideas, then later use that information to decide how I'm going to present that to you as a video, which is what I've done with this. So my reflection, I've already done the reflection part. I want to go back over this because we did reflection at the beginning. This is much more in depth. So this can be a follow-up video to reflection before. What am I going to have to do with that? Read it, make notes, watch my previous reflection video to check what I covered, or go back and find the notes on my previous reflection video to see what I covered. It's usually easier to just watch the video. Make notes on this to add to what I'd done before. Then, again, sort out what I'm going to be doing to present this additional reflection information to you. Does that make sense? Because last time I specifically covered reflection as how do you reflect? What is it for? How does it work? How do you get started with it? The semantics of changing the idea of reviewing to reflecting, and do you need to do both, or do you just need to call your reviews reflections so that you do more with them than just going, have I done that? Tick. And then this has got practical exercises in it. So this is actually putting it into practice. How can we look at this? What can we look at and say, okay, we're not doing that yet. We haven't been doing that in our reflection. Let's try that for a week, that kind of thing. So this is all going to be one video each, I think, initially. Some of them might warrant more videos. The goals video, for instance, will want revisiting when I have a 3-month goal that I want to do, because a 3-month goal is much different to a 1-month goal. So when I've worked out what I want to do with this up to Christmas, that will be a video on 3-month goal setting. So initially for this, I'm looking at the beginning is just an introduction. So I've got 1, 2, I've done doing this one, 3. Actually, it makes more sense to label them the other way around, doesn't it? Because I'm already doing this one. So it would make more sense to say, okay, goal setting, short-term goals, 1, and then 2, 3, 4, which would be long-term goals, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, how many weeks have we got to the end of the year? Well, we're just over halfway through the year, so I'm guessing it's going to be about 13. That means 1 video a week for the rest of the year. Boom. There's my 3-month plan. Then each video, I just have to break it down into 1 week of, this is what I'm going to do with this. I'm going to read it on Monday. Tuesday, Monday night, I'll reflect on it. Tuesday, I'll go through and write my own notes. Wednesday, I'll review any previous videos I need to and add to my notes. Thursday, I will decide how I'm going to present it and so on. Then I'll start putting the practice in so that I've got examples in my bullet journal, like I've got with this, writing this in, and I'd already done this so that you knew what I was looking at. Getting set up ready so that I can do this practical part. Then I'll have a day of where I'll do a reflection on the video. Do I want to do any more on that? Did I have other ideas I wanted to look at? Like, for instance, when I started this video, I didn't actually plan to do a 3-month goal setting. I didn't intend to break this up into 2 videos. But now, because you've asked about it, I will. Because obviously there's a big difference between a short-term goal and a long-term goal. Okay? Does that help? You're literally just extending the amount of time. You're literally saying, okay, I started this originally thinking it was going to be a 1-month project. Here's what I can get done in a month. And here's what I'm going to have to break up into other months because this is way more than I thought it was going to be. You need to start moving from review to reflection, but make that something for September. Yeah. For what you're doing is postponing a goal rather than breaking it down. If you want to start moving from reviewing to reflection, the first thing you need to know is, what are you currently doing? So I would say, make this week's goal writing down what you currently do that you call reviewing. Your next week's goal would be, look at reflection in whatever form it is you want to do it. Do you want to do the bullet journal method? Do you want to look at other stuff? Do you want to watch a couple of videos? There's lots of people have done videos on how to do reflection in journaling. How do you want to do it? Do a bit of research. Week 3, decide what sort of things really grab your attention. What are you already doing that is reflection, and what would you like to add in? That way, by the time you get to September, 1st of September, you can hit the ground running and say, okay, this month I'm going to do reflection instead of review. And you've got a whole load of notes that you can refer to say, okay, these bits I'm doing are not necessary. These bits are worth doing. And these bits are stuff that I need to add in. I can't answer the difference between what's review and what's reflection because it's up to you what you do. To me, reviewing is when you're going back through stuff. It's a planning thing where you literally go back with through your to-do lists and go, have I done that? Have I not done it? Have I done it? Have I not done it? You're just reviewing things. Reviewing is usually black and white. It's a yes and no. Have I done it? No. Do I still need to do it? Yes. When am I going to do it? Then. The reflection is why. Why are you doing it? Why are you telling yourself you must do this task on Tuesday? Is it really that important that it gets done on Tuesday? Could it wait till Wednesday? Could it be skipped this week? You know? My example from earlier. I did a deep clean of the bathroom last week. I cleaned the whole thing out. I washed everything down. I did the floors. I did everything. I shouldn't need to do a massive clean this week. So therefore, me saying if the bathroom needs anything more than a quick wipe round and a brush that's going to take more than 5 minutes, then it's not happening this week. I don't feel that that's a problem. You know, as long as the toilet and sink are clean and there's no dog hair on the floor, I'm good. Yeah? So reflection is why. You know, me saying, oh, I must clean the bathroom this week is just me setting up myself for failure because it's not going to happen. I don't have time. I did a deep clean last Monday. I live on my own. In 10 days, there is no way my bathroom is a mess to the point where it needs another deep clean or even a proper clean. It just doesn't. You know, quick spritz round, quick freshen up, change the towels, job done. I can get away with doing that this week, as long as I do a proper clean next week. And then by September, the first week of September or end of August, it's going to need a proper clean, like deep clean all the way through, where I clear everything out, I clean it and I put everything back. You're still getting comfortable with the method, so that's why you're waiting. I don't think that's a good idea, Laura, because the big part of why the method is different is that you reflect. The reflection is the key to the method. And if you're not if you're still taking time now to get comfortable with the method, you're not benefiting really. You need to do, because there's two lots of reflection, okay? There's two ways of reflecting. The first bit he talks about back up here, when you're going through, every day you go through your tasks and you look at what you've done, what you haven't done, you migrate it forward, and it's all, here it is, migration. It's actually under migration. So it's I guess you could call it review. He calls it migration. You could call it review. Where, okay, I'm setting up today. I'm doing this. Okay, what have I got left from yesterday? Link up videos uploaded from last week. Oh, I'm going to be doing some work on the website. I could do that today while I'm doing it. So here we go. Here's a task. Link up videos. Mark that off. Put an arrow to show I've moved it forward. That finishes that page. That's done. So I've got nothing left on those 2 pages to do now. That's what he calls migration. And then you go back to your August task list. What else have I got on here that I could do today? This is all notes for particular dates. Can't do that till I finish the studio. Can't do that yet. That's my project. That's what I'm doing now. Set up the free class. Oh, I've just put that on my list for today. Set up the cleanse group. So I can tick that off as something that I've now got on my to-do list. I've assigned it to when I'm going to do it. It's going to happen tonight. Our teaser, that's a long-term thing I'm playing with. Patreon study guides. That's stuff for doing later. Okay, so I've got nothing left there. So let's just flip back through previous pages. Is there anything here that I need to do? No, these are all marked off, so they're done. And it's only the beginning of August, so I don't need to... Anything that was left in July has been put on here. So I don't have to go any further back than that. Okay, so that's a review migration. Every day, when I do this first, I haven't done it today. I was running late. But, sometime... I try to do 2 a day, so I'll probably do one... Let me do an example one now. So 6:30. So this would be like a reflection thing. And I do it like a mini journal thing. 18:30. Okay. YouTube on goals. Could do with... I write these longhand. I write reflection longhand. Could do with a later video on long-term goals. Ref. Who asked about long-term goals? Was it Kelly? Or was it Laura? What? Oh no, it was Julia. What do you do when your project requires more steps than you originally thought? So, reference long-term goals, reference Julia. Goals expand into projects. So that could be 3rd video, question mark. So taking a small project, a month project or a sprint and going, oh, this is going to be a longer term goal. Let's turn it into a 3-monther. When does a long-term goal become a project? How do you treat it as a project? What does a project consist of? Yeah. So a project for me, a long-term goal is, for me, something I need to do that's going to take a long time to do. A project has broken up like an agenda. It usually has admin, practical components. Often it has a time or money constraint on it. Sometimes it has a deadline. In fact, most of my projects, most of the things that I call projects, I would say either have a time or money constraint, they are earning me money, or they are on a deadline of some sort. So doing my studio, it's a 1 month sprint, but it doesn't really have a deadline. I'm aiming to do it in a month, but it doesn't have a deadline. I don't have to have it done by a particular date. It doesn't matter if I finish early or whatever. But something like the commission I'm working on at the moment, that has a deadline because I've told her when I'm going to send it, when I'm hoping to get it sent out to her. Now that deadline is movable, obviously, but you know, I've told her I'm aiming to get it finished before I go on holiday, and then I'll update her on when I think I'll be able to get it out to her. It might be that when it's finished, I just need a couple of days for it to dry and then I can wrap it up and send it out. And I can do that while I'm on holiday. Or it might be that it needs longer and it's going to require a couple of coats because of what's underneath it, and a couple of coats of varnish because of what's underneath it, and then I'll have to send it out in September. So I've told her a deadline for when I aim to finish it, but that's not when I'm going to finish the project. When I finish the project is when they have it in their hands. But because that's earning me money and it has expenses and it's a time constraint and it has a deadline, that's a project. Whereas cleaning my studio, that's a goal. That's something I'm aiming for. It's to have a studio that's workable and I feel comfortable in. And okay, so having put this down now, I now know that this goals section might turn into 3 videos. How to turn a short-term goal into a long-term goal and a long-term goal into a project once you've decided that that's what it needs. What else might I write on here? I might write things for the day, like didn't get the yard finished. I was cleaning up in the yard yesterday. Didn't get yard finished due to rain. Hoping to finish tomorrow. Now, that's something I'm going to have to fit into here but that is constrained by the weather, because at the moment our weather is really weird. It rains first thing in the morning, then it's nice, then it rains in the afternoon, then it's nice, then it's cloudy, then we have thunder. It's kind of weird. At the moment, I could be out doing the yard because it's not raining. And it's quite dry out there. Hi, Marianne. But it does look like it's going to rain. So probably by the time I finish this video, I won't be able to go out because it will be spitting. So that's stuff I've got to do, like literally tomorrow. If I'm doing this and suddenly the sun comes out and it looks nice and dry, I'll have to nip out for 10 minutes and do some yard work until it rains and then come back in and finish this off. But I'm used to that. I'm used to fitting that in when I can get the time. He's not very good at explaining projects, Julia. He really doesn't explain projects very well because it's not about project management. The nearest you get to a project is the thing where he talks about his trip to Hawaii, where he turns it into a collection, but he never actually talks about it as a project. It's quite weird. Get soaked to your underwear. Yeah, absolutely. That happened to me this morning. Took the dogs out, leggings and t-shirt. It was nice. It was breezy, slightly cloudy, but it was a nice day, nice and warm. I thought, take the dogs out for half an hour. It'll be fine. Halfway home, the heavens opened for 5 minutes and I was literally soaked to my skin. I had to take my clothes off and get a towel out when I got home. I was that wet. Ridiculous. And it's like constant. Like we had it yesterday, 10 minutes, absolutely hammered down. And then it was really nice again. It's weird. Anyway, never go anywhere without a brolly. That's what I've learnt yesterday. Unfortunately, I didn't take my brolly out dog walking with me this morning. Where is it where he talks about his holiday? It's somewhere to do with goals, isn't it? It's something to do with goals that he breaks down his goal into, because that's his personal goal. One of his personal goals, there it is, 4 months travel to Hawaii. So once he decided that was a priority goal, so here's a long-term goal, learn how to cook. So that's like a 4 to 6 months type goal, or a year's goal, possible sprints that you could do to break it up. And then he's got, and he talks about all sorts of stuff about what about this goal sparked my curiosity, what motivated me to want to invest my time and energy here, what am I trying to accomplish. I'm going to do this as part of my studio thing, because I haven't actually written any of that down, and I think writing it down would help me. Here he talks about using your strengths and weaknesses in a similar way. So if you'd rather do that kind of stuff, smart steps, small steps, daily schedules, time management. Where is the damn trip to Hawaii? He's got a whole page on how to set stuff up, and it is basically a project. Control. That's the bit on stoicism that I've already done. Wanting aspirations, endurance. Oh, is it deconstruction? No, that's paying your rent. Rubber ducking. Rubber ducking. When you don't know what to do, when you don't know how to achieve something, you talk to your rubber duck. Comes from Sesame Street. You remember what's his face with his rubber duck? Oh, can't find it. There's a whole section in here about a trip to Hawaii where he breaks it down into proper steps. This might be the start of it. I want to go on vacation. Why do you want to go on vacation? Oh, here we go. Asking yourself about motivation. Why do I want to go on vacation? Why? Because work is stressing me out. Why? Because it's the same thing in and out. Why? Because my life is confined to a cubicle. Why? Because I don't take time for the things that I love. So you don't actually want to go on vacation. What you need to do is take more time for your personal life. Planning. Here we go. It's in the planning section. Okay. 250. He talks about projects as plans. That might be where it comes a little unstuck, because most of us talk about all of this as planning. He talks specifically planning is for projects where there's a budget involved and things like that. So he talks about actually collecting his setting aside a Hawaii vacation collection. So where does he want to go? What does he want to do when he's there? Who does he want to go with? How is he going to get there? What's it going to cost? Where's he going to stay? That kind of stuff. So you would have an entire collection page. So he's basically got a mission statement for why he wants to go on vacation. I swear this boy's a Virgo. Nobody would do that. Nobody but a Virgo would actually do this. I have a mission statement for why I want to go on vacation to Hawaii. Really? I'm going to try it though. Maybe it works. Who knows? So then he's got a collection of places he'd like to visit and prioritising which ones he definitely wants to go to. Then laying it out as a structure, putting together an itinerary, putting together a schedule of, flights and things and when he's going to do what. So that planning section, as he calls it, is actually projects. In other words. So that's the section you want, that whole Hawaii vacation thing. Just because it's a vacation and not a work project makes no difference. It's still time management. It's got a deadline. It's going to take a particular amount of time. It's going to take a budget. It's going to have limits. He's not going to be able to do everything he wants, so he's going to have to prioritise. It might involve teamwork, That's a project. Oh, hey, Burgess. This results in at work I'm given a goal, organise an event, but then this thing expands and becomes much bigger than expected. That results in a mess in my bullet journal with info everywhere. That's what your index is for. If you watch my thing on indexing and how I've changed my index, that might help. I don't like the fact that his version of an index is literally just a list where you have to find what you want. It doesn't help me. So what I've done is where things become larger, I break them off into sections. So this is just random stuff by month. This is my passion projects for the next 3 months. So here I've got all my One Book July references. Here I've got all my bullet journal methods. Here I've got all my studio cleaning stuff. Here I've got all my podcast stuff that I want to do for September's project. I also have Patreon stuff that tends to be in collections because it's lists of videos mostly. And all my witchy stuff, which tends to be individual collections, but they all have the same theme. So I've got several astrology ones, several on myths and legends, several on reading, several on spellcraft and ritual, that kind of stuff. But they all come under witchy stuff. So you could perhaps... Rubber Ducky, you're the one. That's it. That's it, John. John's watched Sesame Street. What's his name? Bert and Ernie, isn't it? Ernie. Bert's the one with the eyebrows. So it's Ernie is the one with the duck. Oh, Rubber Ducky. Rubber Ducky, you're the one. Oh. He tells Rubber Ducky all his problems, you see. So when you get stuck and you don't know what to do, you go rubber ducking. You sit in the bath and you relax with your rubber duck and you tell him all your problems. So, yeah, when you get to a point where something that you've started has become bigger than the whole. So maybe, like, here's a mini version, Media and Rex, okay? So Media and Rex, originally I had a couple of notes on several pages. Eventually I decided that I needed to turn that into a bigger page. So 61 to 62, I took all of these bits and I moved them onto one page because I kept going back to refer to them, okay? So now I've got 61 to 62. If that then became a bigger project again, I might set up this, I might cut out a bit of this page and say, okay, this is going to be media stuff, and maybe I've got so much media, I'm going to split it up. So I've got films, podcasts, books, TV shows, music, okay? YouTube videos, that kind of stuff. So visually, basically what you're doing, let me visualize it for you because that usually helps. Ooh. The back of the book is for pencil scribbles. So you said you start getting all asked to do one thing, but then it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay, so let's do it like... Let's use an example of a video to a class, because that's where a lot of my class ideas come from. So, initially, it starts off as a YouTube video. I want to do a YouTube video on creating a Christmas journal, okay? And then I decide I also want to do, so a Christmas journal. And then I decide I also want to do a YouTube video on Christmas planning. Okay? So these are two things together that form one thing. Then I think, well, hang on a minute, because the YouTube video is actually going to take, you know, the journal video. There's a lot of components to that. What are you going to journal about? Why are you going to journal? Are you going to put photos or art? Are you going to use prompts? How often? What format? So are you going to do December daily? Are you going to do a written journal? Are you going to do an art journal? All of a sudden, this is more than what I thought it was going to be. So this becomes a collection for Christmas journal. Which means this is also going to have a collection with all the similar things for Christmas planning, because I like to do stuff to mirror. So this is also going to have, you know, what do I need to organise, special dates, all that kind of stuff, etc., etc. Then I said, well, hang on a minute, if I'm going to do all of that, why don't I break it down into some kind of an organisation? So instead of just having random questions that you have to sort out in advance and then you're on your own, how about splitting this out into the 4 weeks before Christmas? 1, 2, 3, 4. So then that becomes, those each become a collection on their own. And then we could do the same with this. Let's do 1, 2, 3, 4 with this. So week 1, well, week 4 in December is going to be Christmas journaling. It's going to be easy stuff. So you're looking at finishing off and printing photos, etc. Maybe adding Christmas cards to your journal that you want to keep after you've taken them down after Christmas, that kind of stuff. Christmas week is going to be all about what you're doing. So that's going to be events, mostly events and people that you spend time with, events that you go to. So Christmas journaling for number 2, that's going to be round about the middle of December. Traditionally, that's school week, isn't it? That's the week the kids break up from school. You've got the school concert, you've got school activities, then you've got kids to organise for a week before you tire them out over Christmas and that sort of thing. Which means this week is last minute prep. So what are you going to do with that week before Christmas really kicks off and the kids are out of school and you have to start going to parties and events and visiting people and going Christmas shopping and everything else? How are you going to spend that last week? What do you need to catch up on? What do you want to write about? What do you want to think about? What are your goals for having a nice quiet holiday, and so on? And then you do the same with your planning. So week 3 is obvious. That's going to be not so much, that's going to be last minute prep, isn't it? That's things like throwing your warm up sausage rolls in the oven half an hour before people arrive, that kind of thing. You don't want to do as little as possible. So the week before, you would want to do your last minute shop for food, last minute food, which would be fresh food. The week before would be frozen food. So then what can you do with frozen food? Well, you can freeze it, but you can also prep it. So prepping anything for Christmas week that you can prep and freeze in advance. So all you've got to do is heat it up. Making stuff in week 2 for week 3 and 4, or prepping stuff like dough and things if you want to make fresh bread. So stuff that you can prep, cutting up all that fresh food and prepping it ready for what you want to do. You know, you don't want to be spending Christmas morning doing anything more than throwing the turkey in the oven. But you also want to make sure that you take the turkey out of the freezer so that you can put it in the oven, right? So by the time I got to this, I was then like, well, hang on a minute. Once you've got week 1 is all going to be focusing on frozen stuff and prep and early Christmas shopping and getting things wrapped up that you've already got, that you've been buying throughout the year. Oh, okay. Well, that can be split into 7 days. So I've got daily prompts. And that was how the Christmas Chronicles was born. So I then had each day, day 1, planning, here's what we're going to do. Journaling, here's what we're going to do. And we ended up with 31 prompts, 2 a day for the whole of Christmas. Boom, done. And it just kept growing like that. So it basically becomes a family tree. So here, then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Maybe your Sundays, you like to have the day off. So you've really only got 6. Maybe you're really busy because you work retail and it's pre-Christmas. So actually, you've only got half as much time. So you need to do 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, and delegate number 7. Yeah, so you can allow it to grow. So what this would look like, initially this might look like one page. So I might have in my index YouTube Christmas vids page 1. And then I might have journaling page 2 to 4, planning page 5 to 7. But then I decide to break it down even further. So then I've got the 4 weeks. So, okay, so then I might have 8, 9, 10, and 15 might be my 4 weeks here. And over here, I might have 11, 12, 13, 14. And then I decide, oh, hang on a minute, I want to break it down into dailies. So, then I might have to do, okay, dailies, daily journal, and daily prompts, daily plans. But I might initially want to put a list of all of them. So the list would go in here, the list of all 31. So that would be the next page, which would be page 16, and I could star that one to show that that's the key list of prompts. And then 17 would be the key list of prompts. And then daily journal, I might have page 18 to 20 for the first few, and page 21 to 22 for this. And then I might go back to page 23 here and 24 there. And, you know, that's how you break it down then into a sensible thing. And if it starts getting overwhelming in your index, then what he suggests is taking a section of your index and turning it into a collection in and of itself. So you would then take all of this and say, okay, this is getting out of hand. I'm taking this and I'm going to put it on page 25. And then you'd reorganize this as a whole index somewhere here. Because you've run out of room in your proper index for it. Once it gets overloaded and becomes a project, for me, by the time I get to here, I already know it's going to be a project. If I've broken it down more than once, it's going to be a project. So at this point, I would be going, oh, okay, I need to break this down and have an index page. So I would reorganize it with an index page and basically reference back to these, but then start this in a more organised structure. So then I would say, okay, so from page 25 onwards, page 26, 27, 28, that's going to be journal, day 1, plan, day 1, and then maybe page 2, that might be journal, day 3 and 4, and this one might be plan, day 2, and I would break it up like that. And if it got any bigger than that, then I'd put it in its own book, basically. Once it gets to that point, I'm like, yeah, I'm out of here. But most of mine, it gets broken down to 2 points. So it started off here as One Book July, then it got broken down into One Book July and the bullet journal method. Then it became, hang on a minute, I need this separate, so I put it in a box on its own. Now I'm getting stuff where it's the bullet journal method, but it's also long-term goals. So what I will probably do is set up an index page or a long-term page for the bullet journal method. In fact, I might even do that now. Where have I got actually, I've got a page that I drew on one side and I didn't use it the other. So I could use this actually, because I'll put a page flag in it, so I'll be able to find it. So that'll be the bullet journal method. I don't normally break things up like this, but I'm only going to need one page for this, I think. Bullet journal method. And this will be August to December plan and index. So then what I'll do is I'll put that 96 August to December, page 96. So unless I need to go back and refer to this now, I no longer need to keep going back to here. I can just go back to this page. So now I can go, okay, what do I want to do? I want to do, well, I've just been marking it off, haven't I? So I started off with first video, goals. And I might have written in there what I wanted to do, but then I might set it up so that I do short term, long term, and then what becomes a project. So I would then put a tick box here to say, okay, I've done that on the 7th of August. So this now means it's a work in progress. Goals is a work in progress. And then what's the next one I want to do? Reflection. So the reflection section. Previous video. Aha. Well, I've got notes on my previous video on reflection. I just need to find them. So it's going to be on one of these. And I did it towards the middle of the month. So it should be, if I go to my video list, it should tell me reflection, the most useful tool. I didn't write the page number down. I normally write the page number down with my notes on. So where is my, I'm going to have to find that now because I didn't write it down with my page numbers on. That was naughty of me. See, this is why you write your page numbers down. This is why page numbers are important. Oh, there it is. July 4th, 29th. So on this one, page 29, is my notes. So I'll put that in there so next time I can find it. And here we go. Here's my notes on my previous video on reflection. Now I can go to here and say, okay, well, what do I want to do for my next video? This video was all about importance, what, why, and how. And regularity. So that means that my new video reflection part 2 will be on the practical application, CF, the bullet journal method, page 131. So this now becomes an index of my videos, what I've done, what I haven't done, where I can find the information. So I could also put this on here, page 29. That was the page where all that information is. I don't need to rewrite that information. I've just got the 3 things that tell me what it is. If I need to know exactly what I did, I can go back to page 29 back here and go, oh, reflection, here we go. Key to the bullet journal method. Didn't realise the importance until I started using it. This is why I write everything down. Because having to watch this means I don't want to have to watch that epic 4-hour video on reflection, right? Does that make sense? That's what I do if things keep expanding. I just allow them to expand organically. I don't try and do any kind of pre-setup. When I get to a point where I think, I've got a lot of media recommendations there, you know what? I might as well just write a whole page of them and then I can just keep adding to it. And then I move those onto there, I cross it off, I put an arrow and I put 61 to 62. That's the collection page. So now I don't need to keep going back and referring to these pages. I can just go to the reflection page. But until that point, I was just writing media and recommendations down on my daily pages. Because I was constantly reflecting and reviewing, I was constantly reminded, on that page, oh yeah, there's that podcast somebody told me. Oh yeah, that's that book somebody told me about. My Audible credit's due next week. You know? I think the thing with moving to the bullet journal method for long-term stuff is that it feels like there's no planning. There's not planning. It feels like there's no structure because you build the structure as you go. But if you think about a project, unless you're a civil servant who works to a specific code, or, you know, somebody who has to adhere to a specific set of guidelines, like an architect, there is no set way of doing a project. You may have your preferred way of doing a project, or you may have the way that you inherited from the previous person who did the job. That doesn't, in neither of those, necessarily are the best way to organise this particular event. Because, for instance, with event planning, organising a wedding is going to be way different to organising a trip to Hawaii, which is going to be way different to organising PlannerCon, which is going to be way different to organising Comic-Con, which is going to be way different to organising a TED Talk. So, although they're all projects, there is no one way of organising a project. You always have to think, well, what's the best way of organising this project? If you already have a structure in mind, like Cody's saying, her project is, she thinks, 6 weeks. If you already have a project time frame in mind, my suggestion would be, okay, create a collection that gives you a time frame for those 6 weeks. Start with that. So week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6. What do you aim to do within those weeks? And then break those weeks down. What can I do this week? What do I need to start doing this week so that it's finished for week 5? What do I need to buy in week 2 so that it arrives in time for week 3? And so on. How much money do I need to save in the month before so that I can start week 1 on day 1 instead of having to wait another 3 days to get paid? That kind of stuff. Then I would take this information and start breaking that down. So week 1 would then become, okay, here's a page for week 1. What's the best way to organise it? Should I organise it by, I need to do videos, I need to do PDFs, I need to do admin and marketing, or should I do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or should I do it by, we're going to do different techniques. So this week is mixed media and long form journaling. So I could do mixed media ideas here and long form journaling here. Or I could say, well, okay, week 1 is going to be mostly mixed media ideas and some journaling. So let's have mixed media ideas on here and then do a list of prompts that we could do. And then I can work out which prompts I can do with which mixed media ideas and so on. You just break it down organically as you go rather than trying to make it fit a specific thing. I have a yearly recurring project. Yeah, so something like that, a recurring project. My Christmas Chronicles has become like that. All I do now is I rewrite the journaling prompts. So a couple of weeks ahead, I rewrite the journaling prompts. I rejig the video prompts and or talking prompts, and everything else stays the same because the planning is still the same. Having a dedicated book for a yearly recurring project would be a good idea because then you can have it set up with like each year, you know, this here we go, essentially using a year for a month. So okay, that was last year's bit notes, this is this year's notes. What's the outline for this year? What do I need to track? Let's set up a page for expenses so we know what's going where, who's getting paid for what, who needs to be paid, what I need to buy, etc. that kind of stuff. So yeah, you could absolutely have a dedicated folder even, because you could have preset forms and stuff that you set up, tracking forms that you set up, lists of people that you contact every year, and then you can have some spare things on the bottom for people you're adding this year, or people that you're not contacting this year because that company's gone out of business and stuff like that. So you can update your records all the time. And then you could have a separate address file with who's the contact, you know, oh, the new secretary. Last year I spoke to Anne, this year it's Laura because Anne got promoted, you know. And you can update your information every year, which means if at any time you get moved out of your job to somewhere else, you can hand off that file to your follower and say, okay, here's what I always did. Here's all the information you're going to need. Here's some of the forms that I used to use. Here's all the contact information. You can see what I've done in previous years, different ideas, different people we've used, different stuff we've done. And then boom, they've all got all the information. I'd have a dedicated book for that and make a final project page on reflection on what worked and what didn't. Absolutely. That would be brilliant. Yeah. Even if you think like something like a children's birthday party, what really worked this year? Oh, well, you know, having Batman visit was a really great idea because kids into Batman. Okay. On reflection, actually, it would have been a good idea to have Batman and Spider-Man, because a lot of the other kids were into Spider-Man and my kid's a weirdo who's into Batman. On reflection, there were a lot of girls at the party as well, and not all of them were into Batman, so maybe we could have had a female superhero too. That would have been nice. On reflection, maybe the kids aren't going to be into superheroes next year, so maybe having somebody come as an entertainer, you know, it might be better to have a magician or a singer or something like that. What else are they likely to be into? Remind myself to check 3 months in advance what the latest craze is, because if it's Pokemon Go, then perhaps we could organise a walking bus around the park to go and find creatures for Pokemon Go. You know, that kind of stuff. That's exactly what reflection is for. You can also reference it for tasks in your current bullet journal. Yes, I have started now putting page numbers on everything. I have a A5 Filofax where I keep my astrology and tarot readings that I do for people. Just my own notes, not theirs. But my own notes on what I found, what I want to look into, what I want to revise, what I want to do different next time, that kind of stuff. And I now number all the pages as I go. I add pages as I go and I number them. And then I reference them in here. And I'll do things like I'll put a note in here, you know, 8 p.m, spent some time going over astrology notes for Fred Blogs and Sue D and etc. etc. Want to look more into progressed charts, whatever, CF page, whatever, in my Filofax. That's cross-referencing. People get confused with threading, but threading and cross-referencing are the same thing. Threading is cross-referencing between pages. So, for instance, on my bullet journal page, right, my bullet journal method here, this is a continuation. It's not a continuation of the bullet journal reading. It's a continuation of this page here that has all my notes on. So, this is all my video notes for One Book July. So page 2930. So page 2930 was the previous page. And the next page will be wherever I write my notes for the next thing I do. So actually, didn't I write some here? Yeah, YouTube goals. So there you go, page 99. So goals, short term, CF, page 99. So these are cross-referencing within a page. and these are threading. And if it was in a different book, then I would put it in a different book. So so for instance, this goals right here, 150. So goals, I could put the bullet journal method 150. That's a cross-reference to another book. And then in here, I might put goals 1. This is book. I'm calling this book 1 for my bullet journal. So bullet journal 01/96. So now when I come to here, I go, oh, did I do the goals thing? Where did I do that? Oh, bullet journal, page 196. So I go to here, goals. Oh, short-term goals, 7th of August on page 99 is my notes. Right, okay, so what does I say in here? Oh, I was saying that I need to break it up and do long-term goals and another one for projects. Okay, well, that matches with this. But I've got this long-term goals, but then I don't have projects. So I need to write projects in there. So number 6 could be projects. Does that help? I use cross-referencing all the time. I give all my books a name. So like I've got my herbs book. My main herbs book is a big, chunky, thick book. So it's going to take me ages to finish it. My book of shadows is a big, chunky, thick book. So that's going to take ages to finish. So I've got my book of shadows, BOS 2, because it's the second full book of shadows that I'm using. My herbs book is herbs 1. So I've called it BOH, book of herbs 1. And then I've got a little field notes index that I keep in my aforementioned A5 Filofax, and it's an A to Z. So when I'm writing things in, artichokes, they're not a herb, but you get the idea. Artichokes, BOH, page 204. A to Z indexes are fantastic for keeping proper indexes. Like what he calls an index, to me, this is a table of contents. It's not an index, it's a table of contents. Because it's clear, it's concise, and it's broken up into groups. For me, this is the index and they call it content. I don't understand that. This is an index to me because it's like all pages that mention goals. That's an index, isn't it? Not a table of contents. This is a table of contents. So I think they got that the wrong way round, or maybe Americans call it differently, because sometimes you do. Because you're weird, let's face it. But I would call this a table of content. I call this my contents now, rather than my index. I haven't renamed it, but I call this my contents rather than my index, because this is indexing to me. Cross-referencing and threading is indexing to me. If it's got page numbers, if it's just groups of pages and doesn't tell you what's on that page, then it's not an index, it's a table of content. Does that make sense? So essentially this he calls an index and this he calls the contents. But I think this is the table of contents and this is the index. And this allows me to do like footnotes. So goals might be in another book as well. So I hope that helps some with goal setting. Obviously, again, I will come back to this. It's a big, once you get to part 3 of this book, you realise just how enormous this book is. It's not, yes, it's a quick read and you can get through it in the 4 hours prescribed by the audiobook. However, once you actually start doing it, you realise there's so much more to it and there's so much more to think about. Just in the why. I'm an American who thinks they have the context and index mixed up in the method. Yes. I mean, it's part of the method, so, you know, if you're doing this, then you call it's an index. In the bullet journal method, it's an index. But to me, this isn't an index, this is a table of contents, and the indexing comes with cross-referencing and threading. And I use cross-referencing and threading religiously. Like when I write a page about what I'm going to do with my cleanse, when I do the, I talked earlier about actually doing the practice session in here on setting goals. Why do I want to do this? What is it? How is it going to benefit me? All those kind of questions that are in here. Where were they? There's a whole list of different ones. Prioritizing your goals, focusing on what you want to do, breaking it down into sprints. Possible sprints. I just did that. Here it is. 161. Brainstorm your goal. I've never done it like this. I've never done it in a structured format like this, and I quite like this idea. So, my studio cleanse. What about this goal sparked my curiosity? Why am I doing it? What motivated me to want to invest my time and energy? And he talks about time and energy. Projects require perseverance and passion, which is time and energy. It's things you invest in it. What are you trying to accomplish? You know, having clear goals. I have a goal of sorting out my studio, but maybe that goal is too big. Maybe what I really want to do is get my studio looking clean and tidy, reasonably organised, and functional for the way I work. Maybe that's actually 3 goals under the guise of sort out my studio. That's just off the top of my head. It might not be 3, it might be 7. I have no idea because I haven't done this exercise yet. But I think this exercise would be beneficial. So that's going to be my next thing that I do. And then once I do that, because I've already sectioned this off into cleanse, tone, moisturize, I might put here, you know, page, whatever it's going to be, page, let's say this is my next page. So 101 is going to be my cleanse exercise. So I would put that as a page reference. So when I come to here and I'm looking at this, I go, oh, page 101, that's where I've long formed about this. And I treat my long form journaling the same way. A lot of people have asked me how do I do long form journaling or whatever. Both long form journaling and sketching, I do them the same way. I simply go into the notes here, and let's say I want to do a long form journaling thing about the supermoon. Okay, so I would put plus, and then whatever page it ended up on. Let's say it went on page 67, plus 67. And that plus sign for me in the circle means it's long form journaling. If it's just more notes, I would put an arrow to show that it goes forward onto page 82. If it's a breakdown of something, then I just put a page number next to it. So like my cleanse here, breakdown of the cleanse, page 101. So it's 3 different ways of threading, but I also have my previous and new pages. So when I come to this page, this is my calendar for August. Previous page 21. Oh, what's that? That's the previous monthly calendar. So when I go to page 21, I should find my July calendar, right? Page 21, July calendar. And then this one book July, going forward, page 31. So on page 31, I should find my first daily log, July the 1st. So on this calendar, the next daily log is page 93. So that's page 93. So page 93 goes back to page, so I've got 89, 90, 91, 92 is the last page of my monthlies. So that goes back to page 92. And it goes forward to, I don't include this page, this is just page 93, to page 97. So this is 94, this is the next one. So this one goes back to 94. And it goes forward to 99. Do I need to write that down? No, I might as well do 94, 95, 96, 97. Wait and see what goes on here. This might be daily logs as well. This might be a collection, in which case I'll have to skip one. So my next daily log will be 103, and that'll be what I put in there, 94 to 103. Need to reread it. Read it in a few hours, but need to go through it again to really get it. Yeah, it takes a while. I read it 4 times, and I'm now on my 5th read through of the third section. Because it took me 3 readings to actually get that it's called a bullet journal, not a bullet planner. And it took my 3 readings and a video and her reading it for Aveline to go, hang on a minute, this isn't a planner, it's a journal and logbook. So it's not one of those books that you just pick it up, you read it and you go, there's nothing new in there. Although apparently there are a few people who've done that. One guy commented on one of my videos that, oh, well, I skimmed through it in the bookshop and I didn't see anything worth reading that I'm not already doing. I'm like, really? Because I don't think you had time to actually read anything. You missed out a whole chunk of stuff, mate. But, you know, you can't... If people are going to skim through it and go, oh, that's not worth my time, you can't make them think that there might be something in there. One person said it was too self-helpy. And I'm like, what? I don't think using the bullet journal to its full potential, or the bullet journal method to its full potential, is an overnight thing. And I think that is why Ryder says to start using the system, give it 2 to 3 months of the simple version before you start customizing it. So any of you who've never done it before or never done it in this format before and started in July, you're still looking at sometime around September, finally going, oh, but now I can customize it. Now I need to add this. Now I need to add that. Now I can put this in. You know, I really need to find a way of logging my financial tracking, but I haven't taken my financial tracking out of the little book it's in yet because I haven't figured out how to put it in here. And until I do, I don't want to move it. I'm just leaving it where it is. Because I might find by the time I come to actually put it in here that what I really need to do is get a digital tracker or do it on a spreadsheet or keep it in the book it's in or get a cash book. You know, there might be 101 different ways of doing it. Maybe my finances need to be in a completely separate bullet journal that is only for finance. I need to figure out how to do that. So until I figure out how to do it, I'm not moving it into here because I don't want this to be one grand experiment of, oh, this looks like a good idea, let's do it this way. Because I've been doing that for many, 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 many years and it hasn't been working. So stop it, you know? Stop it. Don't keep throwing things in and going, this looks like a good idea, let's do this, let's do that. You know, it's only recently that I've started allowing myself to do sketching in it. And I do sketching, but I treat them as collections. So this is an exception because this is an index page. I would not put important information on this page. This is an index page that I will put a page flag on. So I will always know where to find it. That's completely different to a page like these pages. These are both daily logs. These pages are both daily logs. These pages are both collage. These pages are both about the bullet journal method, reading from the book. These pages are both a sketchbook. These pages are both bullet video ideas. You see? So this page is a one-off purely because that index is not going to need more than one page. And I know that. And that sketch only took one page. So it makes sense. Rather than leaving this page blank and going, oh, I'll do a sketch there later in the month and I'll put this later in the back. And it's easier to just put it here and stick a page flag on it and be done with it. But, you know, the more I look at this and how it works, the more I'm thinking that I might prefer to keep my finances all together in one of my finder faxes, because I've got cash book inserts. Maybe I could use those better than trying to fit it into here. I think one of the key things with bullet journaling is not just learning how to bullet journal, but learning how to be okay with taking things out of your bullet journal and putting them somewhere else. Like, for instance, appointments. I use Google Calendar. Ryder Carroll says he uses Google Calendar as well. A lot of people use the iPhone calendar because it all syncs together and they use it with their family. You know, a lot of people use Google Calendar because it links with Outlook, which they use at work. So they've got both of their calendars together. Digital calendars are very, very common. So I don't feel I need to put my events in here on anything more than a daily basis. So yes, today I wrote on doing a YouTube video today, because that's a log of what I'm doing. It's not an appointment. My appointment is in my calendar. The YouTube video today is on goals. So I will update this with the information. So Rose BuJo 9, I think it is. No, it's a live one. Sorry, live. Rose BuJo live. Short-term goals. And then I'll put a plus sign next to it to show that there's journaling about it here. No page number means it's on this page. If there was a page number, it would be somewhere else. Yeah, for me with, I love Wunderlist. Wunderlist is fantastic if you have to organise with somebody else. I use Wunderlist exclusively for work tasks that need to go between me and KK. So anything I delegate to her, anything she needs to do that she then needs to come back to me. So, for instance, when people set up like an astrology reading with me, they purchase the astrology reading and they log their information. I get that notification, so I then know that somebody's purchased a private class. I put that on Wunderlist with all the information, just copy and paste it from the email, put it in Wunderlist. KK contacts the person and does the sorting out and the back and forth that takes forever of, well, I can do Tuesday and I can do Thursday, but I can't do it after 7. And, you know, she works out when I'm free, then you're free, and we can do it. Gives me a couple of options on Wunderlist. I tick the one I want. She sets it up. She sends me and the person the calendar invite. When I get the calendar invite, I do the thing with all the stuff that I need to do with, here's your Zoom link, here's your video link, here's your post, and so on. See you next Friday, you know. Wunderlist is fantastic if you need to delegate between a team, even if it's only 2 people. And I also put on there stuff that I'm working on that's off we've got a communal admin list. So when I have some spare time to do admin, I will take something off the communal admin list. Like, for instance, update the front page of the website is on there. Well, I've just realised that I need to do some stuff for that anyway. So I'll take that off of Wunderlist and allocate it to me. So KK will know that I'm doing it. She now doesn't have to worry about that. When I've finished it for this month, I'll put it back on the list for next month. So September's update, that she might do that. Yeah? So Wunderlist is fantastic, and I don't even bother writing things down unless I come across something that I think, oh, I can get KK to do that. So, you know, if I write down something and I thought, oh, updating the first page, need to add the links to the help post. Oh, KK's already working on that. I would go into Wunderlist and add it to update the front page as a task, add the links to the help post. Has anyone used the Kindle edition of the bullet journal method? It's the same as the book. It's exactly the same as the book, Rach. It's literally exactly like the book. Right. I need a drink and some tea. It's 9:30. 7:30, sorry. 7:30. God, that was a long stream today. Who knew short-term goals would take such a long time? Anyway, I'm going to go and finish off what I need to do for today. And I will see you again shortly. Don't forget patrons, not Patreons. Yeah, you'll be fine with the Kindle book. It looks exactly like this, Rachel. And with the audiobook, there's a PDF that you can download and you can print out. I've got the copy of the PDF. So if the Kindle book doesn't come with the additional PDF that you can print out, let me know and I'll forward the PDF to you. Because it's linked on the bullet journal. You can get the PDF anyway, even without using the audiobook. But the link is specifically in the audiobook, so I can... Oh, Steph uses the Kindle version. There you go. It's fine. You'll be fine with it, Rach. You're going to love it because it's got loads of philosophy in it. It'll be something you can get your teeth into. The Kindle doesn't come with the PDF. Oh, right, okay. I'll find you the link. See? Bullet journal. This is what I love. I no longer search around my desk looking for pieces of paper to write myself reminders and stuff. I just write it in my bullet journal. Reminder. Send. Rach. PDF. Link. For the bullet journal method. PDF. Printable. It's just the exercises, basically. It's actually on the I'll link it in the group if I can find it. It's all of these example pages that he does, all of these, and the illustrations and stuff, and he tells you in the audiobook PDF page 81 or page 9 or whatever, which is the same as this. So it's handy to have it separate, I found, because if you have these... See, I write in my book. I listen to the audiobook and I write in my book. If I was doing this with Kindle, I would print the PDF out and then write on the PDF. Because you can make notes on the Kindle, but I prefer to do them on paper. I'm a pen person. I don't like reading digitally anyway, but I certainly don't like cluttering it up with notes. Although you can. I would rather write them out and then be able to peruse them at my leisure. So send Rachel the PDF link for the printable. Add to website. I will put it in the BuJo and planning section that we've already got in the community library. It's just a link from... It's actually one of the articles in the... If you go into the bullet journal thing... If you've got the iPhone version and you've got the library and articles, if you go in there, I think the articles, it's in one of these somewhere where it's actually called a bullet. It must be on, there's only so many articles on this. It's on the, It's on the website. There's only so many articles here. This is the blog. I just noticed there's one here that's actually called Bullet Journal for ADHD. Those of you with ADD and ADHD, you might want to go and read that. In fact, I might read that because I'm going to set it to open to that, because I don't have ADHD, but I do have squirrel brain. I'm so easily distracted, it's ridiculous. Use Kindle app on mobile. Yeah. I'll send you the PDF link, and then you can download it and you can just get it printed somewhere. Right, I'm definitely going this time because I need a drink. My throat is parched. I need coffee. Bye. I see you next week. I'm not going to be doing bullet journaling every week now until Christmas. As a live one, I might do... I might do it live. I don't know. I might do a couple of... bit plastic. Ow. I might do a couple of pre-recorded ones and then a live one. I prefer doing the live ones though, because you never know where you're going to end up. Like we started talking about short-term goals, we ended up finding out that we need to do a projects video. You know? I like the interaction. So maybe I'll do it that way. Don't know. Anyway, if you're a patron, tomorrow we have the mythology, arty, righty type pages. Tomorrow, and then if you're interested in the studio cleanse or sorting your space out thing, come over to the website. There's the link down there. It's also in the link down below, and if you have any problems, contact Cody or Ashley or Amber or Mara. That was the other one, wasn't it? And they'll help you out with... In fact, just ask anybody. Most people know where to ask for help. And if you're completely lost, just go to the messages and message someone. Message KK if all else fails. Okay, let me see if I can work out how to stop this stream. It's always an entertaining one. I will see you all again soon. Bye.